Welcome to the October 11th, 2021 meeting of the Rules, Policy, and Governance Committee of the Tennessee Public Charter School Commission. This meeting is being recorded and will be available after its conclusion via link on the Commission's website. Please seek recognition prior to speaking, making a motion, or voting. And I guess in that vein, I'm Terrence Patterson, Chair of the Rules, Policy, and Governance Committee. Chase, could we please take a roll call of the commissioners?
Commissioner Tucker
Here.
is present. Commissioner Levine
I'm here.
is present. And Chairman Patterson
Here.
is present. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Great, thank you, Terrence Patterson speaking. Today's agenda includes committee action on both rules and policies. We will begin with a vote on the Charter Commission's mission statement after Ashley Thomas will discuss two permanent rules for the committee to vote on, and then finally we will conclude our meeting with Tess Stovall providing us with a review of the commission's self-evaluation. Does anyone have any comments to make regarding the agenda before we vote to approve? Good. Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So, this is Wendy Tucker, so moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All those in favor?
Aye. Sorry.
Aye.
I wanted to say absent again.
Chase, did you record the vote there?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The agenda has been approved.
Okay, great. We'll move next to the approval of the minutes to the July 12, 2021 meeting. The minutes of the committee meeting held on July 12th, 2021 have been provided. Does anyone have any edits to make regarding the prior minutes before we proceed?
No.
No? Okay.
For the avoidance of doubt, I was not able to make that meeting, in case anybody's wondering.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the July 12th meeting?
So, good.
Levine, so moved.
Second? Okay, great. Any discussion? Don't think so. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, nay. Okay. Mr. Engel, I think we've approved the minutes.
Yes, sir. The minutes from July 12th have been approved.
Okay. Okay, the first item on our agenda is the first reading of the mission statement for the Charter Commission. I'd like to ask our General Counsel, Ashley Thomas, to provide an overview of Policy 1.000 before we vote.
This is Ashley Thomas. Thank you, Chairman. So this mission statement was developed by our Director of External Affairs through results from a survey as well as conversation with various commissioners. I will read the mission statement into the record, and then I will pause for any comments or questions. The mission of the Charter Commission is to provide positive academic and life outcomes for Tennessee's students through access to high-quality public charter schools. The effectiveness of these schools will be ensured through approval and support through rigorous oversight, transparency, and accountability. Like I said, I will pause now for comments. I will state this is the first reading for this policy. It's the last one for the year for the committee to review.
May I propose a non-material change? I would move that we add the word, after the word support in the second sentence, put a comma and, just so that the sentence works better. The effectiveness of these schools will be ensured through approval and support, wait a minute, maybe I read it wrong. The effectiveness of these schools will be ensured through approval and support, comma, and through rigorous oversight, transparency, and accountability. Yeah.
Approval and support, comma, and through?
And through rigorous oversight, transparency, and accountability. I don't know what the proper English, what you would define that sentence as, but the effectiveness of these schools will be ensured through approval and support through rigorous, the use of the word through twice.
Oh, I see it. Unless the through is modifying support.
Now we're getting into English.
We are.
Could we do, would it
go
make
ahead.
sense to do support, comma, using rigorous oversight, transparency, and accountability? Because I think the oversight, transparency, and accountability refer to the approval and support.
That works. That
Right?
works.
I mean, I think that's the intent. I don't,
Yeah, you could say, yeah. So instead of the second through,
Changing that to using.
using,
Instead of
I can make
through
that
using,
change.
yes.
utilizing or.
right? Because it's just, it is
Right.
confusing because there is through twice. Yeah.
I would make a formal motion to strike the word through and add the word using.
Okay.
And I've noted that, thank you.
Oh.
Do we need to?
We don't have to make a motion to do
Yeah, so we do need a motion to approve the policy on first reading.
Okay.
So, were there any other questions or comments, though?
No, I was
Wendy?
trying to figure out if we needed to make a motion to make that amendment or if we just,
So I think we should make a motion to approve the policy on first reading with,
the
as
amended.
amended.
or as amended. So
I'll make that motion.
go ahead and make that motion, Alan. Go ahead.
I move that we adopt on first reading the policy that we're considering, including the amended language.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? I don't think so. I think we've discussed it. So all those in favor, please say aye.
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 And opposed? Okay, hearing none. I think we have approval, Chase.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The Commission Policy 1.00 has been approved as amended on first reading.
Okay, great. Thank you. The second item on our agenda today will be a presentation on the Achievement School District Authorization Permanent Rule from our General Counsel. Ashley, will you please provide us with an overview of this rule?
Absolutely. This is Ashley Thomas. After these rules were approved on first reading at the Commission's July meeting, I submitted these rules to the Attorney General's office, and they did provide some feedback. Subsequent to that, emergency rules were approved by the Commission at their September 22nd special call meeting, and a rulemaking hearing was conducted on September 30th. I will say there were no public comments received during the rulemaking hearing. Speaking to the feedback I received from the AG's office, the first suggested change was to clarify that the Commission's timeline for a public hearing is 75 days from the November 15th application deadline. The original language just said 75 days and did not specify when that timeline would start. There was a suggested change to permit an ASD authorized charter school to apply for authorization even if they failed to submit the letter of intent by October 15th. The original language stated that those schools would be ineligible to apply unless a letter of intent was received. The language was suggested in contemplation of extraordinary circumstances if they were not able to provide their letter of intent. And then the second change was suggested by the AG's office. It was related to the governing board's interview. Again, it was contemplating extraordinary circumstances and suggested that the commission possibly allow attendees to participate remotely. So I will pause for any questions or edits to these rules.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. And just for my clarification, all of those changes, all of those recommended changes have been incorporated?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
If I can ask just one
Sure,
question.
yeah,
So
go ahead,
just to
Wendy.
make sure I understand the letter of intent, extraordinary circumstances, I saw that if they fail to submit a letter of intent, they may, I'm trying to find it, may be able, is that where that language was changed to reflect that there's a way? So it doesn't talk about extenuating circumstances, it just gives a may, right? Or did I miss something?
You did it. Mike is not, okay, there it is. So you're correct, that particular section, so 1185-01-03-.02 subpart 3 initially said that an ASD authorized charter school is not eligible to apply, and the AG's office suggested that we change that to may be ineligible.
Okay, I guess my question on that then is, are we going to tease that out anywhere else in just because that, if I'm an ASD authorized charter school, I don't know that I know what that means. And so is there somewhere else, not necessarily in rule, but in policy that we're going to explain like what that procedure would look like and how that would happen?
I believe the application would speak to that. It is not in the language of these rules that the committee is considering.
Okay. Do you want mine?
Tess Stovall, thank you. Commissioner Tucker, thank you for that feedback. I think what we want to do is create a situation where we are strongly requiring, but also trying to give, if there were some time, if something extraordinary happened, that we would have some level of flexibility, but it would be up to the discretion of the executive director and the general counsel analyzing that. I think what we can do is, once these rules are final, we can look through and say, do we need a policy that goes along with this, so that we can be very clear of, it is not just a whim, it is a thoughtful consideration of the circumstances.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. So I think that, I don't want to hold up the rule. I don't think the rule needs to change. I just want to make sure that somewhere it's clear what that is about. And I get, you don't want to say it in here because you don't want to be like, hey, you don't have to do a letter. So I appreciate that feedback.
Okay, if there is no further comment or no further questions, is there a motion to approve the ASD authorization permanent rule and recommend adoption by the full commission?
This is Wendy Tucker, so moved.
I second.
Is there any further discussion? Okay. Chase, could you please take a roll call vote for this one?
Aye.
Commissioner Tucker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Levine?
Aye.
Votes aye. Chairman Patterson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Mr. Chairman, the motion is approved.
Okay, thank you, Chase. Our next agenda item will be a vote on the permanent rules for amendment appeals to the commission. I want to again recognize Ashley to explain this rule before we take a vote on final reading. Ashley, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. On September 30th, again, the commission staff conducted a rulemaking hearing to receive public comment on the language of amendment appeals rules. There were no comments received at that hearing. Additionally, we did solicit feedback from stakeholders, and the language before the committee today does reflect those changes. In subpart 1C6, the words "or goals" were added to the statement changes to the charter school's academic focus. Some authorizers specified that given the impact of the pandemic and irregular testing, allowing an authorizer to propose amendments to the school's goals is an important clarification. We proposed changing language in subpart 1L to permit emergency amendment petitions outside of the established fall and spring timelines, while also proposing language to clarify the word emergency. The discussion with stakeholders here is that it is important to be prepared for operators to work on a petition that is necessary should there be something like an act of God or another crisis that would affect the charter school. But we wanted to be sure that the clarification was not so lax that any change could be qualified as an emergency. We also proposed making sure that operators provide a written explanation of emergency when filing that petition. The next change we proposed was removing the exclusion of changing a grade level or enrollment structure as part of an emergency petition. That is subsection 1M1, excuse me. While we noted that the importance of planning for enrollment and grade structure changes through a fall petition is probably best, there may be extraordinary circumstances that could warrant an emergency petition. And finally, subpart 2, we proposed language to clarify that the commission could hear appeals of both traditional as well as emergency amendment petitions. And so I will pause here for any questions or note any committee edits.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to thank you for the work on this. I think this is an issue that comes up, and it really can be a barrier for schools to be able to pivot the way they need to and be able to, like just sort of assess what's best for their kids. So I think this rule looks great.
Yeah, I would agree that the flexibility you put in there, I think, is good. It gives some better certainty to the schools.
If there are no further questions from commissioners, is there a motion to approve the permanent amendment Appeals Rule on final reading.
I'll move.
Second.
Great. For this one, Chase, could you please take a roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Tucker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Levine?
Aye.
Votes aye. Chairman Patterson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Mr. Chairman, the permanent rule is approved on second reading.
Okay, thank you. The final the final item on our agenda will be a review of the commissioner self-evaluations from our executive director, Tess Stovall. Tess, are you ready to present to the committee?
I am Tess Stovall. I'm excited to brief you all and hear y'all's discussion on your first self-evaluation. So one of the charges of this committee in particular is to ensure that there is a regular board of self-evaluation to allow for you all as commissioners to reflect on your work as a body and as a group. So this survey was put together by the staff, and commissioners were given approximately a month to complete the survey. Over that time period, we had 6 of 9 commissioners complete the survey. And the survey data that is being presented to this committee today has an overview and then more detailed focus area data, should you want to dig into that. The staff will use this data not only to think about future planning and training for the commission, but as we think about the strategic plan and building that, this is one of the data pieces that we are using, and will continue to support the work of the commissioners based on this data. Since this is the commission's self-evaluation, I actually would love to turn it back over to you all as a committee to discuss anything in further you wanted to flag that was interesting in the data that you want to particularly hone in on as we think about our work to support you all as a body and the strategic plan.
Great, thanks. Terrence Patterson, go ahead. Oh, you had a comment, Wendy?
I was just going to note that I am looking forward to sort of this as the starting point for this, and then reviewing in, I don't know how often we do this, but in a year or so, because I think what I saw was the percentages that were low on these were things that we're not doing yet, or, we haven't really started to do: authorizing schools, quality, effective, monitoring quality and effectiveness of our authorized schools, which we didn't have any of until recently. And so I think this will be a really great template to then look back and see what we think. I think the things that we are able to do so far, the scores reflect that the commissioners are feeling pretty positive about all of that. So I think that was a great thing to see.
Mr. May, I would say nothing in this surprises me at all, and I agree with everything Commissioner just said. I would add to it that, it's hard to create a governing body that has such diverse viewpoints and still works so well in terms of being collaborative. I think we've had some discussions where we didn't all agree, or we were each of us convinced others of our position on certain things. And to think about what we started with and where we are now, I mean, building the rules, hiring a staff, I think really we got to give credit to our chair, who did a great job of pulling us together, creating a culture on the commission that is one that's results oriented. And so I think you're right, Wendy. I think you this is a good baseline. In 2 years, are we going to say the same things about each other? Who knows? But I think the governor did a great job of appointing a diverse commission that respects each other, and I think that's been very helpful and very, fulfilling for me, being that I only have another year left on the commission.
Thank you for those comments, Alan. Really appreciate it.
Anything
else, Wendy?
I would love, I don't know if this is appropriate or not, to hear from you, Tess, what your thoughts are, and if there were things here that you thought you would see, that if there was anything surprising to you or anything that you want to look at as we move forward.
Since we have another hour. You could talk for about an hour if you like. We have a whole hour left.
We will be here all day, so we are available.
Alan is present at this committee meeting.
I am here.
No, I think I was happy to see the feedback of the things that positive feedback on the things we own and we have implemented. So I think one of the things that when I came on board was a priority for me was to really streamline our meetings, presentation of materials, making your work as easy as possible. So very excited that we have very positive feedback. I am anxious for all of us to, collectively as a group, to start making some of these more difficult decisions, because I think that's where there's going to be some, we're going to really think about what are our values, what perspectives do we bring, how are we supporting you all in your decision making. So I think that nothing surprised me. It's more of a good reflection for us as a staff to think about how are we doubling down on the communication of the why, both internally and externally, when we're bringing decisions to you all to make. And I think we are feeling good about where we are in the strategic planning process, both today with the mission statement and then with this level of data. And it will allow us to, I think, be bringing to you all a strategic plan that both hits on where we want to be as a body and an agency, but also how do we continue to support you all as commissioners too. My only other ask of you all is, was there a question that you'd be like, if we had to do this again, would really like to know X? We didn't ask it.
Hopefully we don't have to do it again. Mr. Chair, can I add one comment?
Sure, go ahead.
I think an important part of governance is making sure the relationship between the governing body and the staff is healthy. And I'm curious, first of all, let me just pause there and say how amazing the staff has been under your leadership test. You guys have been phenomenal. And I appreciate as a board member how hard you guys work to make sure we're prepared. Because it is a lot, and it has been a lot. But my question really from your perspective, do you believe that there's been a good, healthy dose of non-interference by board members so that you guys can do your jobs? We're the policymakers. You're the ones that have to go administer all this. Do you feel that there's a healthy non-interference going on in terms of our role?
Tess Stovall, 100%. Absolutely. The chair and I have a weekly call. It is great for he and I to be connected. I am sharing with you all on a weekly basis the high level things that are going on, but there has been a true level of trust in the commissioners with the staff. And I think we think a lot about how are we managing up to you all and flagging issues and bringing people in when we need to. But 100% you all, and I don't say this because our boss just came in, but
The chair did just walk in.
We were talking about you.
We were just talking about you, Tom.
but I think we are able to do our work as a staff and also flag issues that you all need to be aware of, and pull you closer when we need to be.
Great, thank you. And I think I also agree, with Terrence Patterson, I also agree with the comments that both of my fellow commissioners have made. Especially want to reiterate the regular communication. As the chair of this committee, I have been more than prepared and appreciate the regular dialogue, not just with yourself, but also with the general counsel. So I really appreciate the work that both of you have done. I did want to make 2 points. One is a minor clerical change. I think for the record, on area number 1 and area number 4, as noted in the chart, it says strongly agree for 1 and 5 on the chart. On area number 1, if you look on the bar graph, you see that. And then also for area number 4, I think on the last page, just making that note so that this document is accurate for the record. But I think the outcomes speak for themselves. I don't think there's a need to change anything there. And then the last comment that I would make, I think as I was going through the document, thinking about how we can reflect community engagement, whether that is, and I think it's twofold. One, how we as commissioners are engaging with our local communities, but then also as a commission, how we are engaging with local communities. So I think that's something that could be reflected. Again, in our infancy, I don't know that there have been many opportunities for us to do it, but certainly as we authorize and take on appeal work, making sure that we don't just present our voices and our faces in our regular meetings, but the community knows that we are available as a connection point. With that, Are there any other questions or comments from commissioners or staff? Oh, okay, great. Well, I guess we can move to closing. I do want to thank all of you for your attendance today
No one was absent.
and participation at the meeting.
Is it going to say like 20 times that I was present?
It will. It will. It will. It will. For this meeting of the Rules, Policy, and Governance Committee of the Tennessee Public Charter School Commission. At this time, I would like to ask if there are any final comments or thoughts.
Appreciate your leadership, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you too.
Thank you. I was waiting.
I said it first.
I saw the pause.
If there are no further comments, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
I don't know. I kind of want to sit around. I want to hang out for a while. Yeah, I'll second that.
Great. Chase, would you mind taking a vote on this one? A voice vote is fine for this one?
Yeah.
All those in favor say A.
Aye.
Aye.
Hey. Well, you're changing all the rules on us.
I'm just trying to draw this thing out. Anyone opposed, say nay. All right. All those in favor? We said that.
We're adjourned.
Are we adjourned?
Motion is approved, sir.
Great. Thank you. The
We'll
next
get this
meeting,
right.
the next meeting of the committee is scheduled for January 27th, 2022. Hope you all have a great afternoon. I look forward to working with you all at the full commission meeting tomorrow. Adjourned.
We're a little rusty. We've been on TV for 2 years.